All right. We are live for episode 5 of the Dog Pound Unleashed. Now it's called Unleashed, man. You know, it was called Off the Chain, but we had some legal issues or whatever with some people, so we just had to switch up the name. Same show, different name. I guess that's how you know you're getting big whenever you're going through legal issues, because if you ain't going through legal issues, then you ain't doing shit. So we here. It's Friday night. The price of Bitcoin is 65.35, Ethereum 216. Let's go. We got Blues on the show. We got the usual suspects. We got Clay. We got Wolf on the show, and then Maine will be here later. And then we have a special guest, one that I've been paying attention to for a while, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who this guy is. We got my man Don Alt. Let's go. So Don, what's happening, man? What you up to right now, man? You just chilling on a Friday, or what's up?
Yeah, I'm just chilling. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty much weekend, boring
yeah.
stuff.
And that's the way to take it, man. Don't stress too hard about it. So let's get back. Let's get right into it. So I met you in the dog pound a while ago. I haven't seen you around or whatever because I assume you've been busy or whatever. But I think that's where I met you. I don't know if I know you from the dog pound or from dog pound, and then I saw you on Twitter. Whatever the case, I've been knowing you for a while. But I know I've known you specifically last year for around when everything was popping at the end of the year, at the end of the last year, the big bull run. You did that challenge that you did with the one. What was it? $200. You started with $200 or whatever, and you tried to make it grow and
I
to
think you,
one BTC.
I think you're
Am I got the
mistaking me
wrong
for the other
person?
guy with the other
Well,
guy. He's
so
he's
he
got the
had the
same
same
name.
name, right?
He got the
Man,
same
see,
name. Yeah.
so my mind's been playing tricks on me. Shit. So okay, so this is a time to clear this shit up. So all right, so I guess I got the wrong guy. That is trust me, that is not that is my fault. Let's get it clear. I've been celebrating. I've been on this crown. And that's for me for not doing my proper research. But let's get into this the real Donald, I guess, right? So anyway, man, what's been going on? What you been doing in the crypto space? How long you been investing and what you just got what do you have going right now, man?
I mean, I've been in the space for like full time. I've been in the space since 17.
Mm-hmm.
But I've dabbled like here and there. I've traded Doge before. Like pretty much like everyone else that got
Yeah,
into
yeah.
crypto. I started out with Dogecoin,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just like bought it back in, I don't know, 16 or 15, and then just sold it for like 20 or 30 times what I bought it at, and then I was hooked, and that's
and
pretty
that
much
and
how.
you know what and that's pretty unique in itself, right? Because whenever people usually come into the space, they start off with the typical big three, right? Or even when at that time when you came in, it was either Ethereum, Bitcoin, or Litecoin or Ripple. But you say you went straight into Doge. Who led you to Doge? Because I didn't even understand Doge until it was a joke whenever I first started it, but I didn't really even understand what it was or what the whole joke was about. But it turns out to be really profitable if you invest in it right. Like, what led you to Doge besides the other three?
So like back in the day, back when I don't know when it was anymore, but back when like Bitcoin was below $10, my brother and I wanted to invest in it, but didn't have a credit card, and like talked with my mom about it, and she was like, "Yeah, she's not giving us a credit card to do it." so so we kind of
Yeah.
missed that boat, and then watched it like skyrocket. And I was always like, okay, I could have bought for like $7 or $5. I'm not gonna buy for 100. And then I was like, I'm not gonna buy for 1,000. And then it dropped, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's ever gonna come back again. And yeah, I don't know. I just saw on Reddit there was like a Dogecoin subreddit, and those guys did some crazy stuff, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm just for fun. I missed Bitcoin, and I'm just gonna try it out, and then put like a few hundreds in, and then yeah.
Yeah, and big
The
bags
rest is
came in.
history.
So
Yeah.
exactly right. So so for the people that are new to the show, because we can't assume that everybody that listens to this show just has been just are pros in crypto. For people that are new in this space and don't really know what Doge is, from my understanding, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, Doge is kind of it's something that's real that you can invest in, but it's kind of a joke if I'm not mistaken. Like it's a
Yeah.
real project, but it's like, can you explain what the whole concept of Doge?
I mean, the inventor, as you will, or like the developer of Doge, pretty much made it. As far as I know, I'm not a Doge expert, but as far as I know, he made it as like some kind of joke, like you guys are gonna invest in like the most stupid shit, and then it took off.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
because isn't the source code like pretty much an exact or as close to an exact copy of Bitcoin as possible? Like, isn't it something like that? Or I don't know. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I'm not sure. I haven't did my own extensive research on it, but I just know that it's mostly it's mostly a joke thing that turns into a really nice trend if you invest in it right. Which is, hey, I'm all for it. Clay says it all the time. Like, I don't care what it is as long as it's popping up. That's what I'm in, right? So,
yeah.
so I'm down with that
And
as
actually,
well. So
yeah, and actually, a lot of people use it to transfer their funds between exchanges because it's cheaper and then it's faster.
Quick.
So yeah,
So just quickly,
and
Don,
lately it's been pretty stable.
we've got some questions in the chat for you, man. First question is, they want to know where the accent's from.
Germany.
Germany.
Okay, Germany
Two people in
represent.
chat guess that. Good ears. And the other question someone's got for you is, how long have you been trading altogether?
Like I've actually not been trading for too long. Like I've done it full time since 17, like I said, and before that I was like doing some forex, but nothing like serious. I was just I mean I was interested in the market. Like I said, I was watching Bitcoin for quite a while, and I've read up on it before, but never like really serious. And then in 17, I just started doing it like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, just staring at charts, trading. Pretty much that was my entire 2017.
And do you have any, are you like some other people where you're involved and have any people saw your, you know, kind of like your growth and popularity and any ICOs tried to get you as an advisor or have any or has any are you involved in any type of side projects in the crypto game, or are you just, you know, just pretty much strictly just a trader, or what you got going on? What do you want to make of this besides making money, of course, right?
I mean I've been approached by thousands of ICOs at that point. Like I mean I get a lot of offers for like sometimes like back in start of 2018 the offers were crazy. Like people paid so much for promotion and whatever. But I never took any because I don't know, I'm not interested in ICOs myself. I don't really do ICOs. Like I did some in 17, but never really a lot. And in my opinion, it's mostly it's a scam, and I don't really want to promote anything that is a scam.
That's the problem I had. I had a few companies like try to get me to promote, and I just asked them a heap of questions because honestly, like me trying to understand the fundamentals of these companies or coins, like I have no fucking idea about them. So
yeah,
I just stay well away.
Yeah, that's exactly
I don't
my
think
problem
it's
too.
Like risk your integrity, right, or your reputation to try to get in with these, because, you know, a lot, especially back in 2017 when everything was going crazy, a lot of people were just throwing shit everywhere and just making absurd amounts of money, and people were throwing crazy amounts of money into stuff that they probably shouldn't have been, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, so hey, it's good. Let's get the show started. We got Donald in the building. So that's another thing I wanted to mention. It's good that you guys in the chat are asking questions. Keep those questions coming in, because we made it a point to get more active in the question session. So hey, let it rip in the chat. It's Jaws party too.
We've got one in there.
We got another one.
Donald.
Let's go.
Yeah. Bella wants to know, how do you maintain your cool all the time, especially with all the trolls on Twitter?
oh yeah.
Man, I'm like I used to be really, really good at it. Lately, I've gotten more and more annoyed. I don't know why. It's like, I don't know. It's whenever I get really, really annoyed, I just turn Twitter off and then just do my daily update and just don't look at it. But in general,
Yeah.
the bigger I get, the more trolls I get, and I think I'm just gonna have to live with that. But it's getting like when the market is going badly, Twitter turns like really, really
Sour.
bad. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The bear market brings out the real fool ass motherfuckers for real, bro. Like they really come out the whip. They wake up. It's like they wait for this shit. Like, bro, like it took you. It takes losing money for the real the real personality and people to come out. And you know, you just gotta let them have their bad days. It's actually pretty funny to me, because I mean, even little old me, sometimes I get people talking crazy in my inbox, and you know, I'm the last one to give motherfuckers a time of day, so they can keep talking. It's entertaining to me. Maybe, you know what? If I ever take the time to reply to those people, then that means I got time today, and it's actually fun. So I suggest they stop, because you know we can do this all day, but most likely we won't. So I mean, they can waste their time, and it's always, like I said in a couple of last episodes, it's all, and I'm not saying that follower counting is a big thing, but it's always the dudes with like 2 followers, like that's always just over there just starting shit, bro. Like, come on,
It's probably
man.
someone.
Come on.
It's probably a big account, burner account though.
Yeah, just like a burner account, people just start shit. But you know what? We dodging all that shit, man. On this, on the in the pound, man. It's only people building each other up and educating people, which is what we're about to get into right now. So, all right, let's kick it off with the next topic. So I was talking with my guy. Oh, we got another one.
Yeah, just before we move on, man, while we're still talking to Donald, so some people are asking your thoughts on Ethereum, man. You think the bottom's in?
I mean,
Actually, I want to get hold on. Let's wait for that. I want to get into that after this topic that I wanted to. So keep that one in mind. Whoever asked that question, I got you for sure. Most deaf. I want to get into that same exact question right after this topic, and it's gonna be a good one too, because it's all gonna flow. You know what I'm saying? We all about the flow. So just keep that one on deck right there. All right. So this is what I wanted to kind of get at right now. So this whole, I don't know if I talked to you guys about it before right before the show, and Vitalik Buterin, and if anybody doesn't know who that is the creator of Ethereum and the CEO of Tron. They got in some what I would call Twitter beef, right? Or beef in general, right? They cocked the guns and got them loaded, right? So anyway, I don't know if this was a big deal, but I thought it was just funny. And impart me to read for a little bit, but I think I need to read this just so all of you can get caught up on what's going on. But basically, Vitalik, in an interview when they were in Hong Kong, he said the blockchain space is getting to the point where there's a ceiling in sight. If you talk to the average educated person at this point, they probably have heard of blockchain at least once. There isn't an opportunity for yet another 1,000 times growth in anything in the space anymore. That's that shit, 1,000 times growth. That's a lot. Anyway, although, and then he moved on to say, to be clear, I never said that there is no room for growth in the crypto system. I said that there is no room for 1,000-time price increase. 1,000-time price increase from today means 200 trillion in crypto, and an entire 70% of today's global wealth being in crypto, right? So then the guy, the Tron CEO, he chimes in and he was like, I do believe the entire world wealth will turn into cryptocurrencies like black hole and grow into much bigger in the future. Cryptocurrency will hit 10 trillion USD market cap, and we've all heard shit like this before, right? And before Apple and Amazon do, we will see. Time will tell. And then, CZ, he's on the sidelines and he was like, oh shit, I'm about to hop into this beef too. Whatever. If it is any beef, this is light work. This is light beef right here. But he said, look, Vitalik, I disagree with this too. I will say crypto will absolutely grow 1,000 times and more. Of course, he wants that shit to happen, right? Because that would just make him one rich ass motherfucker, right? So just reaching USD market cap will give it close to 1,000 times. That's just one currency with severely restricted use case, and the derivatives market is so much bigger. So damn, what do you guys think about this shit? First of all, we've all heard this. you know, it's going to be, you know, people. And you know what? I kind of get tired of people just sitting on their ass and going to these interviews on CNBC and Yahoo Market or anywhere, any investment little review art interview, and just throwing out these crazy ass numbers. We've heard McAfee do it. We've heard all types of crazy predictions of 100 trillion. I think I saw somebody say something about 89 trillion and all of this stuff. What do you guys think of all of this madness? Do you think it's realistic? And do you think that, you know, maybe the big reason for the bull run last year was because, you know, a lot of people weren't in the know as they are now? And do you think that we'll be able to get to that again? Or do you even think it's realistic?
I mean, honestly, like times 1,000, I don't think we're gonna get in the next 10 years. I mean, I don't honestly. It's such a new technology. I don't even know like if it's gonna be times 10 in the next 10 years. It's a really interesting technology, and I think it has a lot of promise. But I don't think it makes much sense to speculate. Yeah, this is gonna be 100 times. Like it's gonna be worth 100 times more or 1,000 times more, just because I don't think anyone knows. It makes no sense to me to get people hyped up like that.
I think
that's where. Oh, sorry, you go, Blues.
I think I understand Vitalik. Like in the way he said it, like he just meant like it's easier to go from 1 million market cap to 100 million market cap or a trillion. So that does 1,000x. But now like the market cap is growing, and like it's like 150 billions. So yeah, it's more difficult to pump it like 1,000x. Like even a 100x is pretty big. So yeah, it's pretty
just
pretty
to touch up on that.
standard. Yeah.
Does anybody know what the market cap peaked out at whenever we hit the all-time high last year?
It was 800, I think. Yeah, it was
800 bill.
Yeah, around
Right, a little bit less than 1 trillion.
Yeah.
Clay, what do you think about this?
Oh, I was just going to say that's where people get caught up with using their, like we talked about last week with the BitLord. People use their own indicators, I guess you'd call it, like saying about the market cap and BTC dominance and all that kind of stuff to, I don't know, try to persuade their trading. Whereas I just still stick to the charts and just trade what's in front of me, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, I mean, so basically what you're saying is like, you could care less what the market cap is. It's just whatever's moving. That's what's moving at the moment. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like right.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think this is all just another. Honestly, I think this whole story right here, and you know, Vitalik is a smart guy based on what I research about him, based on what I know. But I just think this is all part of some boredom of how the market is moving right now. Honestly, this is just some bored news. That's what I call it right now. But that leads me into another talk, right? So I think it was in this same interview, and feel free in the chat, guys, in the live chat to chime in if you want to. We'll read some of the comments in there. But I think in either in that same interview or a different interview, Vitalik mentioned, and I told you I would get back to it. He touched on the state of the recent decline in the Ethereum price, along with all the other coins, right? But Ethereum specifically, he said, I think he mentioned that the recent, or you know, the recent dump of Ethereum from the all-time high of around 1,400 to, I think it touched as low as like what 170 or 160, 165, 170 last week or earlier this week. He said that it's not because the Ethereum technology is being overshadowed by other major competitors in the space that could do it better. He was just saying that he thinks that it's mostly, well, most of it is due, a lot of it is due to the bear market, but also he thinks a lot of it is due to the ICOs in general, right? The ICOs in general, we all know, especially if you invested in an ICO before, we know that most of the time that ICOs, for the contributions that they take, it's in Ethereum, right? Well, he was mentioning that that the dump is due to these ICOs finally dumping off their contributions of their ICOs and that's of their fundraising, and that's one of the big reasons why they dump. He said the technology isn't in danger. The technology is very well relevant, and they do have some advances coming up in the near future. And he was like, it's nothing to worry about. It's just what's happening at the moment. What do you guys think about that?
Somebody put up, who was it? It was Alex Kruger. I'm just looking for the tweet now, but he put up a bit of an analysis on the like who holds Ethereum and whatnot. And pretty sure, I'm just trying to find this tweet, but he was saying that that's not the case. That's not the reason.
He's saying that that's not the case, because if I remember correctly, I saw some people in the Dog Pound chat earlier this week talking about Tezos and how they started finally dumping their ICO contributions. So let's talk about that. Let's see what's going on with that. What do you guys have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, ICOs got like 3.5% of the ETH circulating supply, so it really isn't that big. But
so if they got 3.5% of the supply, do you think it's also in addition to the miners as well? I mean,
you've got also the miners that are dumping, and also you got to keep in mind, like, we have market cycles. So even if the technology in itself is very good, so you have market cycles, like we're in a bear market or sideways or whatever you want to call it. So people are dumping their bags, and yeah, there are many people capitulating. If you look at Reddit posts,
shout out to ACX.
You can see a lot of things. Like one guy like capitulated at 170 Ethereum. Like he had the big stack. Like imagine, So it's pretty. Well, I think if we get to that point, like Ethereum, in my opinion, it's still fragile. Like it's not really it's not really on point yet.
What if it's Vitalik dumping on us? That's the question. I mean,
didn't he dump like at $7? I think he sold like a lot of his stuff at $7.
Allegedly. What do you think, Don? What do you think is going on right now?
I mean, I think it's just a market cycle, honestly. I just think like people pumped up Ethereum, like everyone got into the space. Bitcoin is super expensive in comparison to altcoins. So people bought Bitcoin and they noticed, if Bitcoin needs to go to 100K so that I make the 10x or whatever. Then they moved into altcoins where like, okay, XRP or Ethereum is gonna be the next Bitcoin, and then they bought all of it, and meanwhile, like the smart guys were cashing out, and I think like that's like we're slowly, like this entire year is pretty much a huge shakeout, and what Blues talked about earlier, like the capitulation is slowly coming in. Like I've had real life friends come to me, tell me, they sold their stuff, even though like I told them to sell like at above 500, and I mean I personally sold like my Ethereum. I think it was above 1K. But yeah, it's just
you that started dumping.
No, I mean it's just like the noobs, if you will, need to be shaken out for a market like to reverse.
No, but to back you up, I will say that I was talking to one of my friends earlier today, and he's in the VC space, and he started just in the regular Silicon Valley investing in startups, but then they later got into crypto investing, and he was talking about that they dumped their ETH last year. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't catch the exact top or whatever, but he said that they been got rid of their ETH. So I mean, I think, like you said, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. There were some people that just really just had that feeling that hey, this is going too crazy right now. I think it starts time to start selling out. So
in respects to that, what do you guys think about that Charlie Lee selling all his Litecoin like at the top? Like at the time, he got so much flack, but is he not a good trader for that?
Because,
like,
bro, he's a genius. Man.
yeah,
he's a genius for that.
He did it in a way where nobody can say shit to him because he came out publicly and
Yeah.
always think about it, right? Like, yes, he copped flack, but the flack. Who gives a shit with the amount of money that guy made? And you know what I mean?
I think it's pretty by default. He's gonna make money regardless of whether he holds it or not. Like,
he made a lot more money by dumping it there, right?
I mean, he told everyone about it, right? I mean, I saw his tweet. I still had some altcoins. I mean, in general, like Charlie Lee has been. If you just follow Charlie Lee and check, like whenever he makes grand statements like that, and then just trade accordingly, you make like. I love Charlie Lee for what he puts out on Twitter. Like he talked about the China FUD before it happened. I don't know if you guys remember, but when like China banned everything,
I think I remember that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, it's gonna happen, and then I just sold my stuff and rebought it like for 70% off. I mean,
so he's a good trade
what you're
indicator.
Saying is he's like the oracle of this whole space, right? So pay attention to Charlie Lee, right?
I mean, there's something like that, yeah, for sure.
Counter trade CNBC and trade with Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, there's another actor. You can add another actor lately, Arthur Hayes.
Oh yeah, that's so fucked up, man.
Bro, and you know who else called it? Speaking of people who started dumping at a good time, even do you guys know who Dan Blazerian is?
Oh, God, yeah.
Y'all have heard of him? The dude that's always with all of the chicks, and he probably like snorts mad lines and takes hella Viagra and just goes crazy. But anyway, like he said that he dumped all of his most of his crypto portfolio at right before shit just started going completely into the shits, and he said he was glad that he got out of it. Now, do we really believe him? And that's debatable. But I think he was smart enough to do it. So just to help people out, or just to talk about something slightly a little bit different, like market sentiment, cycles. When do you think? When do you guys feel, or what feelings do you guys start getting to where you guys know that, man, stuff is starting to get a little bit too crazy? I'm starting to think, is this really the top? Should I start scaling down, or what?
I started feeling the heat last year when I first got into Bitcoin. Like, I jumped into it when it was at 2,000, I think it was, or 3,000, and then it dropped like $1,000 or something. I'm like, fuck, like, this has just nearly gone down like 30% or whatever it was in like just like that. And that was it was before alts were going up. I remember like XVG was at like 50 sats or something like that. That's when I ended up buying all those kind of coins, that and RDD and Doge, because my background is spec stocks on the ASX, like all these crappy little mining shillings companies. So I was loving the low cap coins.
Yeah, most definitely. So I just think, like I said, the main idea of all of this is I just think that it's the cycle, and everybody has their own theories, but nobody knows just really for sure. But based off of history and based off of what actually happens when people say stuff is going to happen, there are certain people that you can kind of start leaning towards their opinion a little bit, or kind of start looking to see when they say something, you might want to start peeking in. So
just off the Ethereum drop, like that's been a pretty harsh drop, but you got to expect that when things go up like 10x in a month, like they have to come back down.
I think we can all agree that the whole market was just heavily inflated, right?
Oh, it's just always though. Like, if something goes up so quick, it's going to come down quick as well. You just got to remember that it doesn't keep going up.
Yeah. And do you think that it's just with Bitcoin this time, to where whenever we do have a nice little trend reversal and we are on a steady rise up, do you think it's just with Bitcoin that's going to have hard time breaking these heavy resistances all the way back up to 19, 20K? Or do you think that the whole market will follow in general? Everybody's just going to kind of tread with caution or what?
Personally, I think a lot of the altcoins will be able to run quicker because off all these drops, like all these massive drops, I reckon a lot of people did actually sell out. So it's not so much resistance there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Don or Blues or Wolf want to talk about that.
Yeah, I think the altcoins are gonna move quicker for sure. It's just a question of if we really get a Bitcoin run again, like a big one. Like last time when we approached 20K, I still remember how the altcoins got absolutely smashed.
Oh, I was a bag holder in that one, and I was getting wrecked, bro. I was a noob. I felt all the pain.
Yeah, most people did, yeah. And then I don't know. I think we're gonna get some big relief rallies on the altcoins at least. I mean, Ethereum. We wanted to talk like Ethereum later. I don't know if now's the time or like.
Yeah. Let's talk it right now. This is the point that I wanted to wait till. So yeah, let's talk it right now.
I mean, in general, I think it's heavily reliant on Ethereum, and we had like a really nice bounce right now. But I think like we had the first real big resistance, like we hit it yesterday. That's where I started to take my longs off and started hedging, and we just hit it like today again, just like I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours ago. But if we manage to break that, I think altcoins can have a really nice like relief rally at least, and then I don't know, I would take it one step at a time at the moment.
So you are one of the people that really believes that Ethereum's price action will really lead to the next is a real indicator of the next run. Do you believe that, or do you look at other things?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in general, I've been observing like the Ethereum chart the most recently, just because it's been clear. Like whenever Ethereum is at resistance, Bitcoin starts dropping, and like it back in the day, it was always Bitcoin leading, and ever since like the max swap got introduced, I'm not so sure anymore. It's like a combination of both, or like sometimes Ethereum leads, sometimes Bitcoin leads. But it's really interesting to watch, and I think it's because there's a lot of interest in Ethereum. It's just difficult to say if it's gonna make it if it's gonna make it past the first resistance, or if it's just gonna like get one more level down and then rally really hard.
So let's talk about the competitors though, like the competitors that are essentially doing similar to the same thing, but claim the high scalability that Ethereum falls at, like EOS, Tomo Chain, all of these other high scalability blockchain solutions that are going head to head with Ethereum. Do you think that it's possible that any one of those take over the number 2 spot?
I mean, I'm not that much into FA, but what I know is that whenever you like the coins that say, okay, we're super fast, they're super fast because they're super centralized. They're centralized. Like for example, XRP, you can send from one exchange to another. I've done it like in 2017. I've done it all the time. I just send XRP because it's way faster. But then again, it's centralized. It's not like the typical blockchain that you really want to have, and it's always a trade-off in blockchain. You can have a centralized fast coin, or you can have a coin with a lot of transaction that has another downside. And I think Ethereum is the one. Like Bitcoin is the oldest coin, and that's worth a lot because it has stood the test of time, and Ethereum is pretty much, in my mind, the oldest smart contract coin, or at least the most competent smart contract coin. And that's why I think like Ethereum for me is gonna stay number 2, but I don't know.
And I think that that's the hard thing about it, right? That's the complicated thing about it, because I personally think that in it's going to all come down to real world use case, right? And even though we're in the crypto space, and even though everybody is gung ho about decentralization and the blockchain technology as a whole, and what it does to, in quotations, give the power back to the people, that people want to fight for the real concept of decentralization. But I think that, honestly, going back to Clay's approach, I think that it's going to all come down to the real world use case, and just what project has the best marketing, and what project is being used the most or not, whether it's decentralized or not. But then you're gonna have people arguing, well, like, yeah, that's number 2 or number 3 market cap, or that's what's performing the best, but it's not the real vision of decentralization. Like, I think that that's going to be a real issue, or that's going to be a real battle in the upcoming years, because just like you said, Donald, yeah, they're competitors, but it's not real decentralization. So how do you think that could turn out in the near future?
I mean, we've had XRP overtake Ethereum before, and I think it's probably gonna happen again. It's just, I don't think it's gonna stay that way. I think it can happen for sure, like some kind of hype event or whatever. But I mean, I like, a lot of people hate Ethereum for some reason. I don't really. I mean, the only coin that I would like hold for 10 years, for example, is Bitcoin. I wouldn't really hold any more coin for that amount of time.
I agree.
But yeah, if I had to trust another coin, I think I would trust Ethereum. After Bitcoin, I would trust Ethereum the most.
For me, I'd trust XLM, but that's just personal preference.
I mean, well, if you got personal preference, then that means that you have some reasons why, some personal reasons why you think that. So what reasons do you think that XLM is the hold?
I can't explain it on here. As I said, my fundamentals are horrible. I've got a friend who.
Well, what gives you that feeling of XLM? Like, what just gives you that feeling? And you don't have to be right about it. Who gives a fuck if you're right about it? Like, what gives you that feeling?
Man, my trades are always wrong on Twitter. I don't care. Just one of my friends, like, me and him talked about it since like November last year, before XLM took right off, and just all his research, like, he dived deep into it. And I was reading all that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it really sold me. I don't actually hold any right now because I sold all my alts.
Of course, because it's not moving right.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like one that I would buy again with certainty.
Yeah.
Every other one is just like, if it's moving, yeah.
I think based off the small amount of research that I've done on XLM and Ripple, if people don't know, I think the XLM and Ripple, the founders of the founders of both, they were both the team at one point, both in the Ripple, and then I think they split off, and one of them went on to create XLM, if I'm not mistaken, and I think they were both one or both of them had something to do with PayPal. They worked with PayPal or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they do have a good basis, and they do have a good team.
A partner with IBM.
Exactly. Yeah. So take that for what it is. But I mean, that's real world use case. That's real world partnerships, and that is an actual approved or legit partnership based on some of the other shit that you see coming out every day. But that leads me to the next thing. By the way, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yeah, I've just got to read one comment, man.
Yeah,
Donald Duck just said Blockchain Dane sounds like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, hey, I'm raw too, just like Eddie. Matter of fact, if you pull up at the World CryptoCon conference next month, we getting closer. I might pull up in a red jacket like Eddie Murphy. Who knows, man? Who knows? I hope all you guys can make it, and if you do make it, hit me up and let's get it popping. But yeah, so that, any more questions in the chat right now?
There was one for Donald. Someone said before, who's your biggest influence in trading, and where did you learn trading from?
I mean, I've pretty much just taken everything in. Like I just started following a lot of traders and started to look all around me what people were doing. Back in the day, back in the FX days, I did some courses, some really shitty, some better than others, and then I just made my own stuff up. And I've been pretty much trading my own system ever since I've started doing it full time. But yeah, I've worked closely with CryptoCred, and we've pretty much, like, ever since December, we've perfected our trading together. At least, like, yeah, I would call it that. So I mean, he's the guy that I talk TA with the most. So I'd say
Yeah, I like
him,
Crypto
even though
Cred.
he's pretty new. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel, his Telegram group. He does some good things. He has some very good educational videos, and I think we're trying to get him on the show sooner or later. So Crypto Cred, if you're listening to this, let's get it popping, bro. But anyway, so that leads to my next thing, and my man Wolf, he conducted a little, I guess you could say, a little poll / research this past week on ICO. So do you want to get into that right now, Wolf? Let's see what's going on.
So just to sort of touch on that previous topic as well, I'm a big, like, my background is startups, managing businesses, that sort of thing. And like, I'm a firm believer that trading cryptocurrency and trading these tokens and whatnot will make you rich if done correctly. But I believe that, building within this ecosystem, that's what's going to help you build an empire, right? Like, I mean, you're trading away, you're stacking Bitcoin, you're making money, you're getting rich. That's great. But if you can come up with a concept or a business within this space that's going to help push cryptocurrency or blockchain forward, that's where you can, you can effectively build the next Google within blockchain, right? So I do actually enjoy ICOs. I do agree that, what is it, 90, 95%, whatever they are complete shit. I agree with that too. But the poll that I put up was quite simple. So the question was, if you had to choose one of the following for an ICO that you're investing in, which would it be? So I had A, a team of successful business executives with no blockchain experience, or B, a team of super talented blockchain developers with no business experience. Right, so we've got like the guys who know business but don't understand, like don't have the blockchain experience, or we've got the blockchain developers but don't have business experience. So the results were like quite, like it blew my mind a little bit. It was 51% went with the business executives, 49% went with the blockchain developers. Now,
I agree with that. No, I agree with that as well. I think you have to have a good combination of both, but I think these new ICO projects and these new and the ones that come out, even if they do have a good code, good basis, or good vision, or whatever you want to call it, I think that marketing and the business plan is key, right? Because go on.
That's the thing. The thing is that people are forgetting that ICOs, when you break it down and you strip away the buzzwords and the blockchain and all that shit, ICOs are companies just like any other company, right? Yes. But what we're doing is we're giving these companies access to a lot of money really fast. So I would actually argue that an ICO is a slightly more difficult business to run, because you need people with experience who know how to handle those funds correctly, who know how to set up a business plan correctly, who know how to hire the right people, which I think is one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to running a business. And I forget where I read this, but it was in a book that I've read a while ago on business, but it's about getting the right people on the bus and getting the wrong people off the bus, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that developers, and my hat goes off to developers because I can't code, right? I wish that I could code as good as some of these guys out there, but developers have spent their time building their expertise around developing, right? Writing code, developing, building shit. So they don't have that experience to go out and isolate the right people to hire to drive this business forward, the right people to hire to put together a business plan that's actually executable, to hire the right people to be able to handle those funds correctly. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of these issues at the moment, is that these, a group of developers, super talented, built some code, came up with an idea, raised $100 million, and are now sitting there going, what the fuck do we do with this? Right?
And just to polish up on that, what's crazy, and sorry to interrupt, but I had just read something right before we got on air, and I had read something, you talk about like developers and code and all of that stuff. I had read something that somebody said that 80% of the altcoins in the market have copied code.
That's the thing.
To some extent.
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think it's far more than that.
Yeah.
And then that's the problem. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these ICOs at the moment just absolutely turn to shit, because they had no idea how to handle the funds correctly. And what they've done is they've just gone from event to event to event, partying, splashing money around, and now they're sitting there going, yo, we're out of fucking cash. We don't know what to do.
Yeah, and now they're sitting around like, all right, guys, we got to actually put out some shit. like we're past the concept stage. What we got popping in the code right now? Do we actually have something to show? Like,
I mean, if you think about it, no one is really making any money off blockchain, right? I mean, there's not really any ICO that is selling their product or like their service to anything. So all they have is the ICO money. They don't really make any other money than the ICO money, like speculative. So if price goes down, they're screwed. And I think that's pretty much the reason why everything is crashing so hard, because they don't make any money, but they have to spend money. And then a lot of ICOs pay their employees in their tokens, or like a lot of coins in general. So even if there's no sellers, like no retail, no one selling anymore, the employees have to sell to get their salary, and then you get like a few people selling, and no one's really buying because the market isn't looking so good right now. I think that's what's what's driving price down on a lot of ICOs and on smaller coins at least.
So I got a question here then, because everyone wants decentralization and shouldn't be able to see. Do you guys wish you could see what the companies use their funds for?
So
like obviously, like in the like Australian stock market and that, they have to release out their 3-month report saying where the funds are and what's happening with them. Would you guys wish the company's done that or not?
So
I think that should be in the checks, right? Because before you invest in an ICO, like I know I'm a big ICO. I invest in a lot of ICOs, or I have before they put all of the restrictions on the US. That's bullshit. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But a lot of these ICOs, they will be transparent. Now, I mean, is it what they're really doing? I don't know, but they'll tell you, they'll show you where the funds are being allocated to, what they plan to use the funds for, advertising, actual paying of the staff, and all of that stuff. And I think that if they don't let you know where they're going, where the money's going, then that's a potential red flag. I think you should be wary of investing in it.
So two things on that, Clay. So one, the whole well, first of all, I agree with Dave. So yeah, I think any ICO should be out there. Once they've raised the money, there should be reports, be quarterly reports saying, hey guys, these funds have been spent. This is how much we still have in the bank. I think that will come, and it will come with more regulations, and I think that's a great thing for the space. On the decentralization side of things. So again, if you're to look at cryptocurrency, and if you're to look at blockchain projects, I think decentralization, people use that word too vaguely. And what I mean by that is, yes, we want decentralization when it comes to currencies that we use. Bitcoin, for example, decentralized, right? We can all agree on that. But when it comes to companies building like ICOs or companies building their project decentralized, but it can still be centralized. And I don't think that's a bad thing. What I mean by that is that when companies build something, they don't necessarily want to build it and then have it out there, the code out there for people to be able to see, to have other people powering the network. Instead, they build this closed network where the data is still decentralized, but they still hold access to the data, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's crazy because people used to think that was a red flag. That oh, you don't have your code on GitHub. What are you trying to hide? Blah blah blah. But just like you said, like bro, if I'm building something that's supposed to be revolutionary, why do I want to make my code public, bro?
But also,
we just said
look at it from a corporation point of view, right? Like let's say for example, I'm some massive corporation. I don't know, let's say Tesla, whatever. As a shitty example, I'm Tesla. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at the options that are out there to put part of my business onto the blockchain. I mean, I would not be putting my business on an open blockchain, right? I'd be partnering up with a company who's built the technology that I need that's going to make my business better, but it's closed, and I'm happy with that. So I think that's the big misunderstanding with the word decentralized within this space, is that everyone thinks everything should be decentralized and everything should be on a public blockchain. And that's something that I just disagree with.
Yeah. And then in addition to that, I think people forget. I think we get so caught up in the gains that are expected or potential in this space, that we forget that these are real companies / projects that we're investing in. And traditionally, if you want to see any kind of increase, it takes some years, right, to see some real increase. We're just spoiled. Let's just get it right now. The people in the crypto space are spoiled with gains, right? It takes years sometimes for some of these companies to see 4%, 5%, 10% growth, and we're over here just expecting it in 2 minutes, right? So I think everybody's gonna have to bring their high horse down a little bit, get off their high horse, and start thinking real long term and real, these are real businesses. And I think that if everybody can start shifting their mindset to that, I'm not saying that we still can't get those gains, but it just makes it a little bit more you can withstand the pain a little bit more if you can get that through your head, right?
But I mean, higher gains come with higher risk, right? So the risk at the moment with ICOs is that you're going to go to their webpage one day and there's just a big picture of a dick, right? Which actually everyone in chat remembers that project, posted in chat. But there was an ICO that raised money. All of a sudden, you go to their webpage, it's a picture of a dick. Now, that's the risk. The reward, on the other hand, is that you can put in $1,000 and pull out $150,000 a month later, right? Until that levels out and the reward becomes smaller, you'll find that the risk becomes smaller because regulations will come into place. Like you said before, Dave, ICOs will be forced to put out a quarterly report, highlighting what it is that they've done and how much they have in the bank. So, yeah, as you said, let's enjoy the moment that we have. The high risk, the high reward, and then as things start to level out, adjust your strategy accordingly.
Yeah, and it's just all about adaptation to the market, man. And that's with anything, whether it's in crypto, whether you investing in motherfucking boats, I don't know, whatever. You just got to know what the trends are. You got to know where the space is going, and you just got to always stay with your head in the game. So I think that's just what it is at the moment. And until this little decline bear market is over, you can still make money in this space. Don't get it twisted. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't make money right now. It's just that you will have to adjust your strategy for it to do so. Which speaking of, is there? Do you guys? Well, this may be dying out in specific, just since you're the guest on the show. Does your strategy change in how you invest in a bull market versus a bear market?
Yeah. Generally,
yes.
I mean, generally, in a bull market, if you fuck up a trade, if you in a bull market you want to long, in the bear market you want to short, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. But what I mean by that is if you're long in a bull market and you go negative, for example, if you buy Bitcoin at 3K and it goes to 2K, you're not that worried about it. At least depending on your risk profile, obviously, because the market is trending up in general. But if you're stuck in the bear market, that's really, really bad. So what I do, what I did for the first half of 18 was that I didn't really, because in my mind we were in a bear market, so I didn't really long at all. I just always tried to short the bounces, and the opposite is true for a bull market. I just try to long like the dips and not try to short anything. But that's just me. I like to like at least. I mean, now it's just going sideways, so it's really hard to say. And at the moment, it's just buying support, selling resistance. But in general, in a bull market, I try to buy the dips, and in the bear market, I try to sell the rallies.
Yeah.
And that's
And with
Well,
that,
I know that some people. Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, we've just got Trader Main join. I was just wondering if he wanted to add
I
in.
was about to get on him. I see him lurking in the hangout. He over there
What's up,
being
mate?
real ninja stealthy right now. What's good, bro?
My favorite part of these
Yeah.
podcasts is hearing what everyone's voices sound like.
Yeah. Hey man, we are melting pot right now. It's like a gumbo right now. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
know what gumbo is.
All over the world right
That's
now.
some Louisiana shit. Hell yeah, man. We worldwide, bro. We worldwide. We ain't local right now, bro. We worldwide. Anyway, so we started talking. We talked about in the bear market versus bull market, shorting and longing, and this is a good introduction to my man Maine right here. So I mean, are you in a position right now to where you can give us a quick little market outlook right now on
Yeah,
BTC
of course,
and all
of
that
course.
stuff?
So
And I knew you were. It was a rhetorical question, bro. Like I was just seeing
this
where
is
you
what
was
I do.
at, bro. Yeah, that's what you do.
Let me know. Can you see my screen?
Do you want to share your screen real quick? You don't want. Okay.
Not yet, man.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I see you.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like Don was saying there, when you're in a bear market, you want to be short relatively is kind of the higher probability move, and the opposite for the bull market, and that's just probabilities, right? And that's why you've seen these really big down moves, throughout this entire bear market that we're in. And I got in a huge argument with someone today on Twitter. I don't know why.
He said, I don't know why.
It's like about
like I said earlier in the show, sometimes you just do it because you got time today. Like, fuck it. You want to argue? Let's argue.
This stranger who I have no idea who he is was like, I was so triggered. I can't even begin. But like, it was interesting because he's like, basically he says we're not in a bear market, and I was like, what are you talking about? he's like, listen,
We're
man,
sideways.
he's like, price has not been declining since February, and I'm just like, what? But anyways, it went on way longer than it should have, and I decided to just squash the beef. But regardless, I mean, to Don's point here, right? If you just look even at the weekly chart here, like you can tell me what moves have been more powerful, kind of since all-time high. Has it been the sell-offs or has it been the bounces, right? And clearly the sell-offs have been a lot stronger, and the bounce kind of every time has been weaker, right? Weaker and weaker and weaker. So, it's kind of at a point now where obviously this demand zone that I just kind of had marked out there, I'm going to be really cheesed if I just deleted all my drawing tools just now.
I think you didn't you?
I thought I just hit them. I don't want to talk about what
Control Z, bro.
Can you do that? That for removing
so.
all of them now?
yeah, you removed all of them.
Oh, thank God.
There you go.
So anyways, like we're clearly going down right now, right? So the question is though, how low are we going to go? And, kind of how do you play this on the way down? And to me, I think the move right now is going to be pretty obvious, and it's going to be pretty similar to the last move that we had up towards, I'm just Control-Zing my whole life right now. Okay. That we had kind of up here. I think we're going to see something similar that we had, up towards 7,500. And, the man Don Alt was hedging short up here because he knows what's up. And I think we're going to kind of come into a similar situation. And I think the limiting level is going to be up here. The 6,800 kind of to 6,900 area. So if you go on the daily chart, that's this order block, supply zone, demand zone, whatever the hell you want to call it a dog. I don't care. This area I think is going to be the one that's going to stop price this time. But we'll see. Obviously, I'm not just saying blindly short it when it gets here, but I definitely think if we get back towards, 6,800, back above this range, you're going to see a lot of people online starting to get bullish again. So to me, there's a couple levels that matter here. I posted this one on Twitter, this red one. I basically said we want to get above here if we're going up. And then I kind of expected, kind of what we're seeing right now. We're on top of the range and we're consolidating kind of just under it. We've broken above it. We had this nice dump off last night and it kind of neutralized any stops that would have been under here or maybe under this low. So whenever you see people knife catching, you wonder how they knife catch, you're buying a stop run. That's like the definition of a knife catch. So if you see price accelerating in a sell-off here, an area where you could expect it to go, obviously it didn't quite come all the way back down to this red level here, but it took out this swing low like almost perfectly, right? So whenever you see someone knife catching, generally that's what they're buying. They see a stop run happen and you kind of catch them the knife because price is falling right towards you. And you're catching it. It obviously could have continued going low. And I posted this on Twitter today. This is the low that matters to me now, because basically this is the higher low. Obviously we wicked below it here, but if you look on the 4-hour chart, it's just a wick. It doesn't actually close below it. So this is kind of the area I would like to see defended. I think as long as we can hold this level here, so I don't know, 64.40, I think we'll have some sideways here, and I think we'll get a bounce. And I'm confident that we're going to get up above the weekly demand that I just showed you here. So this weekly level here, the 50% of that is that weekly EQ level that you see here. That's what this is.
So I want to ask you a question, man, and I think Don was just trying to keep it simple. Where in a bull market, you want to look for longs, and in a bear market, you want to look for shorts. But just like kind of how you were explaining right now, when do you let your nuts hang a little bit and be like, well, fuck it, it's a bear market, and I'm about to go long right now because
my nuts are hanging all the time. Yeah. So it depends, right? It's relative to time frame, right? What kind of trader are you? And like Satoshi Wolf, he's the homie he's only in long-term trades. So if you're a long-term, you're looking at the weekly and the monthly chart, you're buying down here and you're selling on the way up. So even though price is going down, there's a very discernible high time frame level here that every time we've come to it, we've had a bounce. And so buying at 6K has been extremely profitable for the last 6 months or whatever. So you can play counter trend. Just be aware that you don't want to get caught in this, right? What was everyone talking about here? I got caught up in this too. We're going up, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And if you're staring at the 4-hour chart, this looks damn bullish, right? And all of this 2 weeks of going up, everyone remembers this day, right? Like Twitter was like a shit show. And to me, this is just further confirmation that we're still very much like, the selling, the supply is still a lot more powerful than demand. Like if it took this much consolidation and this much time to move up here, all to be wiped out here, forget about the bull whale bullshit. Forget about, he was stacking up the order books from 6,300 and he's cash buying and all of that shit. None of that shit means anything to me. To me, we had a very clear area where price, I believe it was on the 1 day, came into this level here. So I would call this like a breaker block is kind of the term I would call it. That's like an ICT term. Some people in supply and demand. And for all those people who might yell at me here, I think what ICT teaches and supply and demand are very similar, just with different names. But according to him, they're completely different topics. So this is like ignored supply and demand. And what I mean by that is this is just a level. It's no different than, the level I showed you down here. But this was kind of the last push that made this top. And then you can see it kind of acted as support here, acted as resistance. And obviously it rejected price here and caused the next dump down. And we had the same thing happen for this move here. The exact same thing I just showed you. Now this is on the most recent pump, right? Exact same thing. So to me, this was an area, and I'm pretty sure Don had the exact same box or something close to on his chart. He basically said, listen, I'm hedging short here. And he can correct me if he's wrong, but if I recall correctly, this was kind of the
same one.
Yeah, this is kind of the area, and this is logical, right? So if you're going to be a buyer here, knowing that we're in a down market and that this is potentially a lower high, it's smart to start hedging at these levels. Okay. And so that exact same logic is what I'm going to apply here. when we get up here, I'm not saying I'm completely exiting every long and, you know, going short on my portfolio, but I'm going to start hedging short here because this is an area that we could reject. So if you want to be a buyer in a down market, just be smart about it. Buy high time frame support levels, right? Don't buy some hourly level because you can get nuked. Like, there's no way to predict that this was going to dump off this hard. I mean, it blasted through every single level I had, basically, right? And then it found a bottom where? At the yearly lows, the same area we've been bouncing over and over and over again. So if you want to be a buyer, you know, this is an uptrend. You can be a buyer here, but be aware that this is an uptrend on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart, sure. But if you're looking at the daily and the weekly chart, you know, this is not, that uptrend is not nearly as impressive. I mean, on the daily, it was still pretty nice, but your trade.
Hey, somebody mute a trader.
Hey, Wolf, I think you accidentally muted Trader.
I
I got it.
don't know if the access to unmute it.
No, did he mute himself?
No, it came up and said that the dog.
Yeah, no, I saw it too. That's what I'm saying. You muted because I'm paying attention. I'm over here taking notes and shit, man. Hold on, get him off. There you go. He's off mute. He's off mute now.
Oh God, I haven't even smoked weed yet today. Maybe that's the problem. So where did I leave off? I mean, fuck, who knows? Obviously, you can buy this thing, right? But just be aware that we're in a macro downtrend, right? So if we're approaching a high time frame resistance level, be prepared to, at the very least, trail your stop up, because you're not going to get wrecked by this if you moved your stop up to here. You know, if you long down here and you just moved your stop up to previous swing lows, you got stopped out. It's no big deal. And especially if you head short here, right?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing as well. I just been moving the stop up.
This is the exact same scenario on a smaller time frame, right? That, like, look at this price action. This looks the same. So to me, you know, you could, if you're long from 6,200 or whatever, trail your stop up. Sure. I mean, this was a nasty wick, probably stopped a lot of people out, but you can be long right now. Just be aware that when we get up to this area, I'm going to be looking to head short, because you bet if you go on Twitter when we're up at 6,800, the same accounts that you see that are always bullish near the top are going to be bullish again. You know, that's just my opinion. And I get caught up in it too. I am not perfect, but like, it's a really good lesson in sentiment analysis to go on Twitter. Like, why are you on Twitter otherwise if you're not using it to improve your trading? Like, if you're just on there to shit post and stuff, I mean, that's great, but it's a waste of time in my opinion. Like, I follow accounts because I think that they give me a different perspective that I can either counter trade or someone that I find I agree with a lot. You know, like, I follow a lot of accounts that I follow because I know that they get emotional at certain areas in price. And it's the same accounts that were emotional up here, thinking we were going to 15K when we dumped, and the same accounts that thought we were going to 10K here, same accounts that thought we were going to 8,500 again here, are going to be the same accounts up here that think we're going to take out this high.
So I've just found out why you follow me, and that's because you're a counter trader.
Very wealthy, and I appreciate it. No, so I mean, for me, I'm not long. I got burned is not the right word, because I mean, I had to stop. Like, everyone on Twitter, or at least like some of the Don Alt can relate to this, because I made a tweet about him, about like people thinking that I have no risk management plan or no sort of trading plan going into this. So it's like, oh, Trader Main must have been long his entire account with no stop at 7,000, and he got completely wrecked. Like, or not.
I had the same thing happen. It was like just at a daily close, and I said I'm going short here, and it just like boosted long, and everyone's like, oh, rip, like, must have hurt. It's like, no, I had a really tight stop. Like, I'm not that retarded.
Anyone who talks like that doesn't trade. Anyone who talks like that doesn't trade. Like, anyone, there's two like super obvious tells to me. It's like when someone assumes that you don't have any sort of risk management strategy, that's not a trader.
They don't. That means they don't.
Yeah, it means they don't understand how to use it, so they just assume no one else does, which is great. Please stay that way. And then there's people who claim that they're like never wrong, right? Those are the other people I'm like, okay, you don't actually trade, because like trading is about being wrong, like, and like knowing that it's okay to be wrong, because like it's all probabilities, right? So to Don's point, like during a bear market, shorts are higher probability. Like, that's just the facts. They're going to be more powerful. There's more, you know, super obvious areas to buy and sell. Like, one of the things I like that, you know, Don Alt posts is he has analysis on different time frames. He has this kind of lower time frame trades that he's taking where, you know, support right now might be 6,400. and resistant might be, 6,800. But then he has his monthly analysis where support is all the way down at 6K, and the next resistance really is like 7K. And you can trade like that too. You can have multiple accounts. You can play the futures and the swaps. You can use different exchanges. So there's plenty of ways to do this. There's definitely an argument to be bullish right now on the lower time frame. And so to me, it's super simple. If this low holds, because if this low doesn't hold, what we're going to see happen is price is going to break down, and then it will retest this low for sure. And then it will dump off. Because this is like a very common, like toppy looking pattern. It's either going to continue from here, or this is going to be the top right here, and it's going to retest this on the way down. So to me, this is the only level I'm watching. I'm not trading this because I kind of got caught up in the bull hype here, and I got away from what I do. So I'm going to take some time away from, or take some time to get back to what I usually do, which is, journaling and writing shit down and reviewing my old notes, and stick to my guns. I'm looking to short up here.
I'm short now.
Yeah, there you go. And I mean, I don't think being short now is a bad idea either. I think we could start dumping at any point here. I've got a short setup. I'm not in it, but I know some people that I kind of trade with and stuff are in it from right up here. Same idea as you, Clay. But I do think we could have one more spike. So I think if we establish above this range, this is the next key level to me. I think if we get above 66.12, we're going to see like 6,900. And you can write that down, and you can tweet it to me when it happens later.
I mean, shit, you said it. Hey, you said it on Unleash, bro. It's on record now, bro.
However many people are watching this, Trader Main says if we get above like 66.12, we're going to see 6,900. And you can send me a tip after you make some money on that. I suggest you go full tilt on it, no stop, 100x. It's a guarantee. And then if this level fails, to me, I think we're going to come back to this red, and this red is super crucial. If we get below this thing, we're seeing new lows for the year. That's another Trader Main guarantee, and I don't even think we'll get back.
I was going to ask you, man. I was going to ask you what are your thoughts about the possibilities of us going back to the 59XXX and below?
I cannot see this area holding anymore, and I can't remember the guy's Twitter, Crypto Marco or Crypto Macro, I think his name is.
Alex Kruger?
Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
So he posts like some great charts and some great analysis, and like I completely agree with him. Like Will Hunting, WMDX or W4MDX, is a great forex trader. Same thing, right? This is the weekly demand zone. And it does not take a rocket scientist to see that every time we've come into this thing, the bounce has been weaker. Like the first time we dumped in here, we wicked into it for a week and we were closed outside of it, like $2,000 above it. The next time we closed inside of it, but we kind of held the 50% line. Like if you're just going to eyeball the 50% line, it's going to be somewhere like here, let's say. So we closed above the 50% line. The next one, look, we're now below the 50% line and we barely got out of it. And then this last pump to 7,400, we didn't even leave the zone. So to me, this demand is running out. I don't think this level is going to hold anymore. So I'm just going to short the fuck out of any sort of serious bounce we have. And we could fall over from here right away. Like if let's say Clay's short is right, we're not going to go up to 6,800. I would wait for a short kind of on the retest of either this level here or this red area. I'd wait for us to break down, and then I'd short a retest. You do not need to catch the entire move from the very beginning, because the risk that you run shorting now is if you're wrong, you're losing money. If you're right, yeah, you were a couple $100 extra right, but the risk is that, you could have been wrong. You could have gotten stopped out. Your risk is literally whatever you're risking on the trade. I like to wait for confirmation. I had a lot of people asking me why I didn't long at like 6,200. It's because I wasn't sure if we were going to go up yet. Like, did someone get $100 better entry than me? Sure. But for me, when we got above this red area, okay, now I want to long. Like, that makes
sense. Flat like all this week, most of it, because I just wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not sure, like, you don't have to be in a trade. Sometimes the best position's not being in a position. If you own Bitcoin and maybe you miss out on a long, but you own Bitcoin, you're long. Like, you're long Bitcoin by owning Bitcoin. So people don't think like that about their portfolio. They forget that they just own crypto. Like, people who love shorting Bitcoin on BitMEX, like, you're making more Bitcoin, but that Bitcoin is less valuable. as you're shorting it, right? So you have to think about your portfolio in that perspective. Like you should have a little pie chart, know what amount of your portfolio is in Bitcoin, what amount of it is in fiat, what amount of it is in, alts, and managing your exposure, what a portion of that is in long term, short term. All of this shit matters, and I don't think people understand those basics of having a portfolio, structuring your risk around, your portfolio's makeup and your exposure to certain coins and things like that. And they're just really concerned about, catching every move. And like, you can actually make a whole lot more money just being smart with risk. Like I know Flood was getting like rinsed online after being bullish up here, as if he was the only person bullish. Pretty sure most people were bullish here. But Flood is like one of the best guys to understand risk in the space. He has a very deep understanding of portfolio and risk management, more so than me, more so than a lot of people. So for people to be giving him shit like on a move like this, it's like they assume he like doesn't have a stop. Like, do you really think he lost like 15 Bitcoins on this move? Like, are you kidding me? He probably made like 9 on the way up and lost 3 on the dump. Like, still a pretty damn good day in my opinion. So people don't think like that. You got to have a more holistic view, kind of on trading and on the market and stuff like that. But, for me, short term, sure, bullish, as long as we hold this low. And, I guarantee you that we'll see 6,900 if we get above this level here. I'm very confident that we'll get up here. And this is an area where I'm heavily going to start shorting, more so than like my net exposure, because I really think the next dump, if and when it happens, is going to take us to new lows. So I'm going to want to be scaling out of my spot holdings, or at least getting a large portion of my portfolio short. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go on BitMEX and do it at 100x leverage. You can open a 1-to-1 short, right? Like a 1-to-1 short is like synthetic fiat at the end of the day, because you're just capitalizing on the gain of Bitcoin as it decreases in price. You're just buying it back lower. So if you don't want a margin trade, but you're like, holy shit, my average entry is 6,000 on Bitcoin and I don't want to fuck around with leverage, well, you could just open a 1-to-1 short and then rebuy that Bitcoin at 4,000 if we got there, or whatever. But I think people are going to be very surprised if we have a strong dump here like we did here. We're going to be seeing some very scary numbers on Bitcoin in terms of the price of it. And to me, I think we're getting to a point kind of temperature-wise online that if we have another major dump, that's going to be close to the point where I say, okay, I could see us starting to form a bottom pretty soon. I'm not trying to predict how long it's going to last or where it's going to end or anything.
I feel you. I think that people are just getting tired of it, and
people are getting tired.
Like you just said, yeah,
you're seeing more and more people like talking about like, oh, I'm tired of this shit. I'm capitulating. I'm selling. And it's like that's what you want to see. Like obviously, you don't want to see people like committing suicide. That's awful and shit. But like that, people being so upset that they leave the space. Like that's when a bottom forms. A bottom does not form when there's some shithead still arguing to you and his profile still says like XRP maximalist. Like we're not on the bottom yet when there's still people, when there's still, this many people with money in the space. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. I think people are going to be surprised. I think we're going to see some heavy resistance up here if we get it. And I think we could get there. So if you're long, trail up your stop. I think I posted people this yesterday. I got a lot of shit. They're like, oh, ETH is going way higher, bro. And I posted right here at Target 2. I was like, you should be taking profits now. And then boom, we dumped and you had an opportunity to rebuy it lower. Like, why not take profits at obvious areas, like over this high and over this high? And sure, ETH might get up here, but at this point, like your stop should be trailed up to here probably on ETH. And if you're on Bitcoin, you should probably have your stop below this swing low because they did a stop hunt here. So this low should hold now.
Yeah, I traded that short yesterday as well.
Yeah, you shorted us, right?
Yeah.
It was like a no-brainer. And for just real quick, I know people only want to talk about crypto, but like I've been starting to share some fucking, Forex stuff. And a lot of people took that as me like capitulating and like leaving crypto. They're like, oh, Trader Main's going to Forex. He's done. The bottom must be close. And that made me so mad. It was unbelievable. But I'm telling everyone, like if you're into TA, like, and that's how you like to trade, obviously it's different fundamentally. There's no blockchain tech and, projects you're investing into. But I mean, these things chart like any other shitcoin. And they're even more easy in my opinion, because you can go to the yearly chart and there's actually like levels that you can mark. You have way more price history. At the very least, it's good to practice marking up these charts. But to me, Forex is easier to trade. It's more predictable. You can trade it with Bitcoin and earn more Bitcoin while you're doing it. Like, why are you trying to force a long on Bitcoin in this tight range when there's literally so many other opportunities in the market you could be trading? So your skills are transferable. That was the whole point of that post, is your skills are transferable. Like, go out and chart some other stuff. You'll be amazed like how easy it is to see these moves. Like, crypto is not the only game in town. So Forex has been along for a while and it works the exact same. The TA stuff works the exact same, if not better, in my opinion. Like, I don't like sleeping in a Bitcoin position. Unless it's like obviously like a long-term position. Like, if I'm in a short-term trade, I don't like falling asleep and waking up to this. You know what I mean? But like, you just don't see that same kind of savage shit in Forex, in my opinion. There's more defined trading hours, closed on the weekends. You can actually get away from your screen every once in a while. So I definitely suggest people check it out. But yeah, Bitcoin, short-term, bullish to 6,800, 6,900, and then death.
Start scaling. There we go. And that was my man, Trader Main, with the outlook. So let's just start wrapping it up. Are there any questions in the chat right now that people have? Any questions for Alt, Main, or any of us on
There's
the
some
cast
question
right
for Donald. Like,
Okay, what we got?
How did you come across CryptoCred?
I back in the day, it was a funny story. Back in the day, I looked around what the big Twitter accounts were doing, and then I found like crypto at the Elliott Wave guy on Twitter, and that was something I've never traded before, and I was like, okay, what is this? I don't know. I'm just gonna check it out, and then I got into his paid group just to check out like what all those paid groups and whatever were. And then like 2 or 3 days after I joined, I got into a fight with Ed because I told him it was bullshit what he was doing. And Fred was doing analysis there, and we talked, like we befriended each other, and then just stuck around, and then Fred did like a Telegram group for friends of his, for like 100 people or something, and I stuck around, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh, cool.
There we go, man. Sometimes it's short-term enemies and long-term friends, bro. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Just blow up something, roll up something, and small something, just chill, chalk the shit.
Yeah,
like we do here on Unleashed.
Yeah, I just want to add something on Bitcoin. Like, I've had a chart. Like, can you share my screen? I don't know.
Yeah.
Put it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this is a chart I have a side. So if you see on the daily chart, so we've had like since
No, I don't think. Are you screen sharing, Blues? I don't think. Oh, there you go. There you go. I see it now.
Yeah. Do you see it now?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. So if you look closely, I have the daily chart here. So from since March, like we've had always we have a pulse up to 0.6118 fib level. So we've had a retracement to that level like 3 times. So the last one was back. Yeah, it was the last move up. So what got me bullish on it was the fact that we've made a higher low. So because last 2 times we've made lower lows, so that was pretty bullish. So I was waiting for 7.5k to hedge my long, but it didn't happen. So I got stopped out at 6.9. So here right now we're pretty at the same situation. Like we are having the same grind up, but like we have the same confluence as Main said. So 6.8 is a good target. to start hedging or closing your longs or taking profits if we ever see it. But it remains an important zone. So
That level's called the sweet spot, by the way, for you
yeah,
ICT fanboys.
I mean, that's great. So now the thousands and thousands of people that are watching this show know the short at 6,800. Good job, guys. Now we're all going to get ranked.
Honestly, though, that's the thing is everyone was saying the same thing at the last run up. They're like, "Oh, we're coming up here," but by the time you get there, euphoria has taken over people. Even like the best traders, they were starting to get euphoric, and I'm telling you, the same thing will happen when we get up to these levels again, and maybe we go higher. But like until we break like 8,500, like there's no reason to be euphorically bullish. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to be that guy, but I was going to short that day, but I decided to go out for
He's not
lunch.
going to be that guy. Well,
I was so pissed.
If any of those guys are unsure about what to do, this is the Dog Pound Unleashed show, and you guys can come along, join the Dog Pound. You can get advice and get questions answered about any of the questions in the actual Crypto Dog Pound Discord and the trading group. Maine has his own group that is very informational as well, that I'm in and that I look at all the time. So between us two, it's great. Come check us out. I think we're going to wrap it up right now. I just want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank all of our hosts and our guest, Don Alt. Let's give him one big hand. And appreciate it, man. And I don't know, maybe our paths will cross soon. I'm going to be at World CryptoCon. I know a lot of other people are. And I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing you talk shit on Twitter from here on out. So that does it for episode 5 of the Dog Pound Unleashed. We are going to wrap this one up. Special thanks to Blues, Wolf, Clay, Maine, and our guest Don Alt. And we are going to wrap this up. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good weekend.
Good chat,
Stay
guys.
active on them charts and tread carefully. There we go.
See you guys.
See you.
Yeah.